Hello and welcome to Sim.bc, where it right now is 19:02. Yes, it's one of those yet again, another very late entry to the series, so very late in the day indeed. Why? Well, because yet again, been at school studying, doing all that progress, really trying to get my head around human resource management and team management. Because tomorrow it's time. Yes, tomorrow is the first of several exams taking part, or rather, over the next couple of days. It's going to be quite interesting, going to be quite enjoyable, and we'll see how I'm going to do with this little video format. Probably tomorrow I'm going to be there early in the day, going to be there, in school, study, actually doing the exam, and then after the exam, probably going to grab up something to eat and then, study even more. And then when I get home, I probably need to go to sleep directly because we have an exam early in the morning the day after. So we'll see how it all turns out. Hopefully and optimally, I will get back here and do everything as I should. But yeah, that's not what you care about, right? At home, you care about, you don't care about if I'm overworking myself, right? You only care about quality and content, don't you? No, just gonna start with adding one thing here that's not about business at all. But since I watched the My Name Is, or What's Your Name, or whatever that movie was called that I talked about yesterday, 2 days ago. It was such a good movie. I took yet another consideration of the same person who suggested that movie to and looked at Boku no Hero Academia, and it is so great. Literally yesterday I just binged like half of this first season, and I was like, this is amazing, this is like the best thing ever, it's great, it's awesome. But yeah, anyway, today we're gonna go through like two things. By the way, totally recommend that. The first thing being, what is culture? No, we've done it a couple of times, but now I'm going to talk more about corporate culture in particular. And what about corporate culture? Well, how does corporate culture evolve? Now, many people have different perspectives on how this is happening. Many people have different views on why this is happening. But basically, the thing that we've been taught is that it all starts with the founders, right? The organizational founders. How does the founder respond to actually the values that they stand for? How do they present the value that they stand for? And what are these values? This all comes down to the founder, right? In the beginning, the one who founds the company, the one who starts the company, the one who takes the initiative, right? So in my case, since I'm the one starting this little company, this little project, if I were to get some employees, the corporate culture would start with me, right? The daily upload schedule, perhaps trying to do more, not quality over quantity, of course not, but trying to go with this raw footage. So you can be raw, right? You can be yourself. That entire mentality going right through. So that's like the mentality of the founder going right through. I would say Mark Zuckerberg is a great example, at least what he's showing in his public life. So to say, since many people like that have public and private life. So what he's showing in his public life is a great deal of innovation, right? He has this video about his AI, I think I've talked about it before. It's all fine, it's all great, it's all dandy, but yes, it all starts with the founders, right? The basis of the culture. And then it moves into selection criteria. This is a bit fussy, but it's basically, what they mean is basically how the founder is recruiting people. So selection criteria is basically, we have all of these people, right, that want to be part of this, want to be part of Facebook. If you're Mark Zuckerberg, now who am I going to employ? Obviously it's going to be people who you feel are like aligned with your own culture, your own perception rather of what your culture actually is. Now the selection criteria is probably an entire method within itself that needs an entire separate video of how you actually recruit people. It's going to look at some controversies regarding diversity and quota systems and so on and so forth. But basically the selection criteria is there to see that you align the people that you're hiring with your own personal views. Then we move into a two-step process here, right? Or a two-step step. There are two different parts in this step. Because from this point in time, when you recruited your first couple of people, now it's going to go into two different ways. It's going to go into top management and socialization when it comes to actually establishing your culture. In top management, it's all about the strategy. Probably, are you strategic in top management? Are you very connected to the operational parts? Are you very conceptual, very human? What type of skills do you want, and how does these align with the corporate culture? How much of the corporate culture do you, as a top management, need to show? How much do you need to say and state publicly? Are you always doing things according to the corporate culture, or are you allowed to be your private self in your private life? How is it all working out? That's one part, defining the organizational culture, and you also have the socialization on the ground level, so let's say all of the employees. What are they doing? How do they respond to the corporate culture? What is their behavior in response to their interpretation of what you have presented to them? So you going out there and saying, hey mates, this is my corporate culture, this is how I want you all to react, and this is what you want to respect, and this is what you want to do. And now all the employees might say, well, that seems fair, that seems good, that seems nice, that seems dandy. But we're not going to do that, because that's not our interpretation of what you presented was. So you might come down there a couple of weeks later, or let's say a couple of years later, right? Let's say you have a big global employment in a big global corporation, and you come to one of your plants where you previously, 2 years prior, actually presented the corporate culture. Now when you come there and you try to explain the same thing, they might have a totally different interpretation of it. So the socialization part of culture is a really important aspect of how corporate culture is produced, because even though you as the founder, when you went to the selection criteria and groomed your top management, the alignment, and rather the perceptions you had of your own culture might not be the same thing as the majority of your corporation now have. And this all in combination leads to organizational culture. But how do employees learn organizational culture then is the next step. Since I'm talking a lot about employees here and there, and it's very important that they are on board, right? It's very important that all of the employees are on board with your organizational cultures, that you don't have to see this, progressive evolution of, oh, that's not what I meant when I started this company. This is not what I want us to stand for, right? You don't want that to happen. So in order to make your employees interpret the corporate culture in the right way, or actually it is the right way because it's your way, mate, because you're the founder, right? And in order to make sure that the top management is actually, providing these ideas in the right way, there are 4 things, and that is stories, symbols, rituals, and language. Yes, indeed. This is how employees of a corporate or of a corporation learns about the organization culture. Stories then, they can be about the founders, because the founder is a bit of a champion, right? It's a bit of the first level of culture, the artifacts, the things that you can see, the things you can interact with. Stories about, oh, do you see the founder? Did you know that he went to India, or that he went to the US, or he went to Brazil, or he went to China, or he went to France, or to, I don't know, South Africa. He did all of these amazing things, and people would be all like, wow, that's really innovative, that's really diverse of him. He's probably met lots of, or him or her, I'm gonna say him because I'm talking about Mark Zuckerberg right now. Keep that in mind. Not specifically that neither me or Zuckerberg has done these things, but you get the idea, you get the angle of why I'm saying him. As a general him, not just him. This with gender neutrality, it's such a hard topic to tackle, especially on the internet, mates. So yeah, let's just say that this champion, this person, this founder, has been all over the world. This shows a great commitment to diversity, right? So that might be that the employees then will interpret these stories to, oh, the organizational culture is all about diversity. It's all about looking at the same problem from different points of view. It's all about being different, being who you are, because being different is okay. Might be something that you're selling with these stories. Rituals then is something that is more about, I would say, the subconscious, the third level, right, of corporate culture, or of culture overall. These are things that you're doing unconsciously. It might be that you're eating at 11 every day, right? When you're at work. Because at the workplace, we eat 11 every day. That's just the way things are. It's a ritual. It's something that's happened. It's a sequence of activities. Something that just happens, right? So they express and reinforce the key values of the organization. So let's just say that you eat every day at 11. That's something that you will do, something that you will assume. And then when you go outside of the corporation, this is yet again underlying assumption. So it might be that you eat 11 o'clock even when you're home in your private life, because you've been so strongly affected by these rituals. And since you say that you eat your lunch at 11 o'clock, that might transcend the idea that, well, we're quite efficient here, so we eat early in the day, and then we work for long hours because we need to stay focused, we need to stay sharp. That's also why we eat that early. It might be that if you eat at between 11 and 12, it might be that you showing the commitment to actually going up early in the morning at like 6 or 7, that you start your day early. So that is why you actually need food at 11 o'clock. Different things that you can interpret from these. Symbols then is, it's like dress codes and size of the office, elegance of the furniture, and etc. It's more about the, I would argue, the natural or the national culture's input on the corporate culture, and then you as the founder, or you as top management, or you as just general management, right, trying to get in and change things, right, from the national culture or from the culture that you've entered, if you have entered a new country, and you try to restructure it, right, so that it looks like it's still the same company, even like no matter where in the world you are. Now, a good expression of this is IKEA, because no matter where in the world you are, right? If you move into an IKEA, you're in IKEA. It doesn't matter which planet, which country, or which continent, or which time zone you're in. Well, planet might because of gravity, right? But it doesn't really matter where you are, because when you're in an IKEA, you're in an IKEA no matter where it is. And this is due to their strong symbolizations of acceptable dress and sizes of the office, and the elegancy and the different type of furniture they have, their own. And this also conveys the idea that no matter where on the planet we are, no matter how different we are, we're all the same. Could be, right? Could be one of the things. It can also be no one is allowed to be different, and everybody should be like we are. That could also be something that you take away. So it's important that the way that you present your symbols, your stories, and your rituals actually convey this idea that, well, this is what we mean with this, right? So that people so you don't leave it open for interpretation. You do it, in a certain extent, but still you try to control it so that the subconscious and the unconscious things that people are going to encounter and feel, you should try and put words to them before they do, because if they do, it could be really good if they get the right idea, because then they will really feel like they identified with the culture themselves. But if they don't, well, you have the possibility of them interpreting it in the wrong way, inefficiency, and so on and so forth. The last one is language then, or these are the 4 key factors, I would say, of how employees interact and learn from culture. But language is the last one. Language is basically, I don't know if it's the first, the second, or the third level of culture, because when you talk to someone, right, you see how they work, you see how they speak, you see how they behave themselves. So you can see it. On the other hand, when you talk to them, you see the invisible layer, how you interact with them. That's all the jargon, the terminology that they use, the wording, the structure they use, and if they are in a large group or a small group, do they behave differently? Are they leadership styles? Are they leadership types? I would say, are they not? Are they servant types? I mean, some of these things take into consideration, but then you also have some of the jargon might be things that they identify with as people. So when they talk to you, this can be the third level of culture, the underlying assumptions that they talking to you, and having these assumptions of who you are as a customer, who they are as the seller, or as the person representing the company. So these can be all 3 layers. And I mean, the argument can be said for ritual, stories, and symbols also being all the 3 layers, but I would say language is the one that, in my opinion, is the most prominent one, showing all the 3 layers of culture. So that is the way it works, mates, according to our course literature. The corporate culture is beginning with the founder, then it moves into selection criteria, socialization, top management, and then organizational culture. Of course, socialization and top management is happening at the same time. And then we have the 4 ways that employees can interact with the corporation, and that is through stories, rituals, symbols, and language. So that was everything for me today, mates. I hope you have a splendid day, and I will have one as well. Continue with the series looking at the other half of Boku no Hero Academia, because it looks so amazing. I mean, seriously, can we just agree that if you go watch it now, I know that if you're new to the scene, that some of the animation might be a bit, branching out into things that you think can confirm that type of stereotype about the series or something. But it looks good, right? It looks good. Have a nice one, mates, and I will try to, because I have exams tomorrow, the day after that I have 2, and then Friday I have 1 more. Yes. No, but it's going to be all fine, it's going to be all good. That's just what the entire, semester has accumulated towards, right? This is the payoff. This is what I've been working towards. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be all good, mates. See ya.